Consider this. LinkedIn gave every member a dedicated space to display their strongest proof, their clearest offer, their most compelling next step, and then they didn't really tell us anything about it. I'm talking about the featured section of your LinkedIn profile. And it sits directly below your About section. It's fully customizable, and most people don't even know it exists or have it collecting digital dust. I'm going to be honest with you, Darlene. If we didn't do this segment on the feature section, I would probably have not looked at mine because it's been a little while. But because of that, I actually did a few little tweaks. And thank you. And I'm guaranteeing that most of you are also in that same situation where you don't even know about it or it's gone dormant. Now, true confessions. What about you, Darlene?
Oh, does it have to be true?
Yeah. Our listeners want to know.
So yeah, me too. I knew we were having the discussion on the featured section, and I don't have one done up.
Oh boy.
I'm that shoemaker whose kids don't have any shoes, and
In this case, the shoemaker is going barefoot too.
yeah, and she will be going barefoot pretty quick here
All
if she
right.
doesn't get
Well,
that sorted out.
thanks for your honesty and welcome to What LinkedIn Doesn't Tell You, the show that exposes the hidden rules behind LinkedIn, its visibility, credibility, relationships, and business development. I'm Dr. Nancy Zaire, sales psychologist, showing purpose-driven solopreneurs how to acquire clients without being salesy. And with me is
Darlene Petrie, lead generation strategist, helping professionals turn LinkedIn visibility into real business conversations.
And if you haven't figured it out, today we're diving into one of the most underused pieces of real estate on your LinkedIn profile. It's called the featured section. We'll cover what it is, why most people miss it, what LinkedIn doesn't tell you about it, how to use it strategically, and what you should actually do right today before you go forward. Are you excited to discover more? Let's dive in. First, let's make sure we're all looking at the same thing. The featured section lives directly below your About section on your LinkedIn profile. It can display a variety of content, including things like your most recent post or one that's really gotten a lot of eyeballs, an article, external links, documents, media, all sorts of things. And what LinkedIn doesn't make obvious, it's completely controlled by you. You decide what goes in there, in what order, and for how long. And if you haven't added anything, it isn't shown to people visiting your profile. That space simply disappears, and you never even know it existed. Which means that for many members, this entire section, this prime conversion space, is invisible. Not because it doesn't exist, because they never activated it. Darlene, as someone who looks at profiles all day, every day, how often do you see the featured section actually working?
Well, Nancy, uh, I don't see it working as often as I'd like to. When I review someone's profile, I'm always checking whether the featured section is doing any of the work at all. And typically, I first don't see one, or it's completely empty. So therefore, I don't see the word featured section. It has something there like 2 years. It's older. It's been there for two. I've seen one there, for 7 years. The same information, or it's filled with content that looks impressive but doesn't really direct the person who's looking at the site anywhere useful. The section exists, but it's not being managed as the strategic tool it actually is.
So here's something that may surprise you. If you previously added media to your About section, LinkedIn may have quietly moved it to your featured section. Right now, without realizing, it got placed there. And that may mean that there is content that's perhaps out of date, completely disconnected from what you currently offered. In other words, it's not what you'd rather have people view. So the first thing I want you to do after watching this episode is to go check your featured section. Just ask yourself with fresh eyes, does this reflect who I am today? Does it give visitors a clear next step?
That's something that's so important, Nancy. It's one of those quiet ways profiles drift out of alignment within the, with the owner not even noticing. Like you could have your about section written and then you have something in your featured section and it's not even related. So you think your profile is current, but something's been sitting in the featured section, like it had been mentioned before, since a previous chapter of your business, an old freebie that you don't even have anymore, or past media feature, or a service you don't even offer anymore. And, visitors are clicking on it and forming an impression and moving on, sometimes in the wrong direction entirely.
And that brings us to the psychology of what's actually happening when someone lands on your profile. Because after reading your about section, if they've made it that far down into your profile, they're asking the question, should I trust this person enough to take a next step? The featured section is your opportunity to answer that question by presenting evidence of what you do. Not with more words, with evidence. This is the core of what LinkedIn doesn't tell you. The featured section is not a useless decoration on your profile. It's a strategic conversion space where you can direct visitors toward one or two things: the strongest proof of what you do or your clearest offer.
Or both. Ideally, it should be both. The other thing that I think is really good in a featured section is to have a case study in there. If you have, because that is showing social proof and people want to see that. So that should be within the visible period. And you usually get 3 that show up right away. So as a frequent profile visitor, I'm quietly deciding in those few seconds, is this person credible? And that's why I say the case study is a perfect way to show it.
Yeah.
Can they actually help me? Help my client, or can they help me? What would work with them? To look at, is there any reason for them to reach out to me?
These are powerful questions that the featured section should answer if you're using it intentionally. So what does a well-used featured section actually signal to a visitor, Darlene?
Well, Nancy, it should signal that the person is organized, that they're current, and that they're very serious about the work that they do. That sounds simple, but it's actually rare. When I see the featured section with a recent post that has a strong engagement, a testimony or case study, and a clear link to the next step, I'm going to say that. Like a booking page or signature offer, I immediately trust that person more. Not because they told me to trust them, but because the proof is right there. It's assembled and presented with intention. And that's what the social proof does. It removes doubt before doubt even forms. And here's what's really interesting from a lead generation perspective. A well-structured featured section can do quiet conversion work while you sleep. Someone finds your profile, say 11 p.m., and reads your about section, sees the evidence in your featured section, clicks on a testimony, the recommendation section, and clicks on your offer link and wakes up having already decided to reach out to you. That's the profile doing its job.
Right, right. Good point. And we're going to cover recommendations at another time, so stay tuned. But let's get practical about the featured section. Based on the psychology of trust building and the conversion purpose of this section, here's what I'd prioritize. First, your most current offer or opportunity. If you're having an upcoming workshop, a new program, or a consultation offer, it belongs at the top, the first thing on your featured section, not buried underneath in the experience section or one of your posts from 3 weeks ago. Because that's the first thing a visitor sees. And this point was driven home to me recently when someone asked about the LinkedIn Profile Lab happening on July 22nd, and they couldn't find it easily because it wasn't in my featured section. Oh, and P.S., it's not yet there. Oh, true confession time, right, Darlene? And the second priority should be social proof. This is where recommendations, the testimonials, third-party validation, that case study, they live beautifully in that part. And we've talked about recommendations, but the featured section is one of the most visible places to surface that proof. A post where a client tagged you, a screenshot of a testimonial, a case study, these create what psychologists call association by validation. The visitor sees that real people have trusted you and benefited, hence they feel more confident going forward. And the third priority, substantiation of your expertise. So put your best performing post, a published article, a media feature, anything that positions you as a credible authority in your space. The key principle is this: your featured section should tell your visitor where to go next and give them a reason to go there.
And I'd add one more thing, Nancy. Keep it short. LinkedIn allows you to add many items to your featured section, but that doesn't mean that you should. 3 to 5 well-chosen pieces always performs a long row of content that requires scrolling and creates decision fatigue. You want the visitor to know immediately what matters most. When there's too much, they often choose nothing.
Yes, decision fatigue is real. And so, again, another confession. Before doing this broadcast and before highlighting the featured section, I had at least 8 or more in my featured section. And of course, I hadn't had the most up-to-date offer, which is this Thursday broadcast, or even the July 22nd Profile Lab. It wasn't there. So of course, Darlene, I scrambled, right? Because I want to model good behavior. But I'm sharing this in all candor, because if I'm making these mistakes, there's a good chance you are too. And I should know better.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we should for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me be candid again. Although savvy LinkedIn members know they should update their featured section, they don't. Why? Because it feels like one more thing on their to-do list. And that's exactly the reason why we created the LinkedIn Profile Lab. We don't just talk about what should be changed. We actually work through it together in real time so that you leave with an enhanced LinkedIn profile that reflects your current offer, your credibility, and a clear next step for your visitors. It's not a lecture. This isn't an educational program. It's a workshop, hands-on, where real profiles are looked at and attended to, and we make recommendations. Look for the link, the registration link in the comments. Well, Darlene, we've covered a lot today, including a lot of confessions on our part. But what core idea sticks with you?
For me, I think that like LinkedIn gives you a showcase, a conversion area that sits, predominantly on your profile, and it's visible to everyone who visits. And I have to say, it does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to, because you are the hardest person on yourself. Get advice here, or, from somebody else's point of view, what they think of it. And I bet they're going to say it's great as long as it's current. It's truly what you do and you have social proof for it. What LinkedIn didn't tell you is that it requires you to activate it, maintain it. I say that one again, maintain it, and treat it as a living part of your profile strategy, not a set it and forget it decoration. If your featured section is empty, outdated, or randomly assembled, it's not just a missed opportunity. It's actually slightly working against you. You need what you offer are landing on your profile every day. You need to put that in. What are they seeing when they get there?
Good question. I noticed that one of our viewers asked a question, and so before we sign off, I do want to respond to it. Jennifer Toll, and let's see, I think I can actually show it online. She asks, is a 10-minute talk video an appropriate feature, or is that too long? And 10 minutes is not too long for someone very interested in what you do. It would be too long for a normal post. Would you agree, Darlene?
I agree, yeah. And how you can leave it in the featured section as the long version, but every now and then you can put a short in the posting area, like where you post, and then direct them to the featured section, as that could be their call to action. If they want more information, check out your featured section.
So as we close, I want to leave you with a challenge, not today, not someday in the future, because if you're watching this right now, take a moment, go to your featured section, check if yours is on track. Does it reflect what you do right now? Does it give someone a reason to trust you? Does it tell them what to do next? And if the answer is no, reach out to Darlene and me to help you. Remember, the LinkedIn Profile Lab on July 22nd may be a good place for you to roll up your sleeves and actually do some work and get it done. So check out that link. To your sales success, this is Dr. Nancy Zare, sales psychologist, helping solopreneurs, showing them how to acquire clients without being pushy, aggressive, and salesy.
And I'm Darlene Petrie, lead generation strategist, helping professionals turn LinkedIn visibility into real business conversations.
We'll see you next week at another live broadcast or in our LinkedIn lab.